anything from us in the mail. Never call them out.
I feel like I'm on a leash here. What's that? First, I'd like to thank Sister Hatshepsut for inviting me back again. I had, again, like the best laid plans of mice and men, dying after glee. That's how it's supposed to be said. And I had wanted to drop a little bit of information about what I gathered around melanin, since melanin is the topic. And I also wanted to, as I normally do at speaking engagements, engage the audience with specific questions that they may have around their health. I like to give back to the people who have been giving to me, and by putting their trust in me for all these 20 years and following through with certain pieces of information that I gained on my own personal experience, as well as through reading some 700 to 800 books. I wanted to touch upon melanin because it seems that, well, first I want to go to melanin very quickly, and then I want to get to this thing that we got going called exercise, that we seem to be caught up in. And I want to get into very quickly answering one or two questions. If there are certain people right now that are suffering from certain diseases that people are being called upon to pay $700 and $800, and even though you got that little card, Blue Cross, that talks about you can have it for free, it ain't for free. If very quickly you want certain health questions answered, go home right away, start getting busy with it, I'll answer those questions. First of all, I wanted to name this specific tape, Chromopathology and the Myths About Melanin, Metaphysical Myths About Melanin. I've been noticing as people talk about melanin, and we as people of color, or what I call spectral people, we have this thing now that because we have color, we done got all egotistical. It seems now that the prevailing mindset was that our paler associates on the planet was proud of their so-called non-color. We were kind of out of it. We didn't like the way we are color. We always still have little vestigial reminders about how we disliked ourselves based upon our color. But now there is this kind of opposite pride in being very dark. And it's beautiful. Let's go with it. But there's certain pieces of information that we're missing about our color that has not been told to you based upon the fact that those who are talking about your color are not interpreting it properly, or not giving you little pieces of connecting information about maybe why you're that color, and maybe why the color that we all are on the planet just somehow aren't the right color anyway, no matter how proud we are. And if we were superior in the colors like we say we are, as from the yellow all the way to the darkest of the dark, then why are we dying, and dying from the same diseases that our slave master had introduced to us? If we were superior because of our color, then even with the greatest of strife, we would not die from anything likened unto him. And even though we adopted his sick philosophies and his way of eating, his way of behaving, somehow the superior melanin would have overstepped that, and we'd be back on track to our immortal ways. But first of all, I do not believe that the colors that we all are, the yellow, red, brown, was the actual color for the species, because based upon everything that we see on this planet, the color that most assimilates best with solar light is what? green. Now, hold a minute, don't rush us. Don't rush the stage first. I believe that somehow there's a piece of the information that's missing about color as far as human beings are concerned. I know that the plant life on this planet seems to be able to process solar radiation more efficiently than we do into nutrition. And that the color green in our own spectral reality has somehow been missing. And I'll tell you why. If you go into the books of history or our story, and those books I look at as the Kemetic and as well as the Vedic myth. That the European has written. Why are we not studying our story based upon what was written in certain books like Bertemru or the Book of the Coming Forth by Day? Why are we not looking for what caused the destruction of our so-called great civilization to what we are here today? Well, I can tell you, you can find the clues in the so-called Everest Papyrus and all the other papyri that were written and translated by the so-called European. I think that if we are not to doom ourselves to repeat the mistakes that brought us down, we have to study not all that is so-called fly with ourselves, because we're going to do that anyway. But it's time we start studying what caused the fall in the first place. And based upon our superior selves and as the progenitors of civilization, what was it that brought us down? Because couldn't no person crawling on all fours, walking with cave skins, come in to Chem and take us out? What took us out? We keep blaming the European for our downfall, but I believe our downfall was based upon those so-called gods that was talked about in the Kemetic and the Vedic writings, the ones you call the Neteru, the Neberu, or the Niteru, or the Ennead, or the Pandavas of the Veda. Because in the beginning of the Kemetic writings, you saw that there was this serious interaction between so-called man, or human, and the gods. We were going along real good. And then in the latter writings, mankind, or humanity, was kind of vilifying the gods. They were pissed with the gods for some reason. And I'll tell you, too, that the specific coloration that we had, the ideal coloration, you would want to look to the gods because they were supposedly superior to humans, right? So in all the writings, what do we find about the color of the Most Highs? What was the specific color of those who were supposedly the gods? What was the color of Osir? What was the color of Osiris? Those who were before and after his crucifixion. Black and green. What was the color of Draupadi in the Veda? Oh boy. Huh? She was green. What was the color of Eve in your Bible? They cut my throat again with time. Chronos. Well, let me run down a few pieces of information that I need to get on this tape because I think that there is some valid information here to be given. In my investigation, the gods altered in color in progressive pathology. This is why I put it down. So you know they're ready to cut my throat with time, so I can't just talk to you all. I got to write it down to make sure I get it on tape. The gods altered in color in progressive pathological stages. The true tests, the true texts you need to read in about who you were are in the Gnostic texts, as per those that were hidden from the Christian texts, the ones that were abbreviated by Shakespeare, who gave you your Bible. But in the Kemetic and the Vedic texts, they come right out and tell us. Homer, that so-called Greek writer, came right out and pointed, said, that we mortals were to see the primal gods, if we were to see them, it would drive us crazy, because we humans would have seen how much we changed. According to Kemetic and Vedic histories, the gods of the primal family, the Ennead or the Pandava, were green-skinned. A great disaster of thermonuclear proportions wreaked havoc on the environment, forcing changes in our metabolism. Kemetic sources stated that they had turquoise skin, and why that stone, turquoise, as well as malachite, was held in such high esteem, also by the Amerindians. Osir, the only god shown, is always shown as green-skinned and hands. Most Kemetic statues of royalty are done in green schist or in malachite. Of Ast, or Isis, they say, bestower of life, lady of life, creatrix of green things, bestower of life, giver of her goods to the gods, and giver of offerings to the spirits, green goddess, whose green color is like unto greenness of the earth. This is Osiris in the Resurrections. You can get that in Wallace Budge's books. In the Veda, Draupadi, the daughter of the gods, had green skin of beryl stone. Esther of your Bible, read from your Bible, Esther. Her skin was greenish, like the green of a myrtle. This was in Hebrew myths. I'm giving you the books, you can go and check. In the same book, Adam, in Hebrew myths, was also of olive skin. There were actually 5 skin types written about in Kemetic and Vedic texts: green, red, yellow, brown, and white. The blackness, as we know it, essentially, was only specific to a different class of gods. And this would be a powerful literary historic indication of the progressive stages of disease called chromatism, something like vitiligo. And it was obvious that they had lost a vital molecule, that the vital molecule lost that changed the green tone of us was magnesium. Magnesium molecule is lost from the melatonin. And iron took its place. Now let me ask you a question. What happens when you have iron and you mix it with water and oxygen? What's that? Rust. So essentially, everybody who's telling you that the base of your blood is iron, mix that with certain types of atmospheric pollutants, and so what do you get? Rust. So if you are the ideal creation of the gods, what would be the base metal of your blood if you wanted to be an ideal creature?
Gold.
What is the most precious of your metals? Gold. That's right. The basis of your blood was gold at one time. It didn't rust. Why are we aging? Why is oxygen, contrary to belief, a toxin to us at times? Because it's not in connection with the other elements that together create a harmonious environment. Sucking in oxygen all the time is toxic to the system because it has certain radioactive isotopes in it, 14.0, 15.0, 19.0. And oxygen creates free radicals. So if oxygen is so good for us, why is it that it's creating free radicals within our system? I can't get all deeper into it because of the time span. Let me just cover this quickly. In the ancient text, there was a frequent reference to the wheel, and the reason why we have lost that green melanin color